Luna, I'm doing a presentation on the molecule benzene. Do you want to hear about it? Okay. This video reviews the uses of benzene, both personal and industrial. Next, we will hear more about benzene from an industrial hygienist. From the exploration in this video, we will see that although benzene is a useful compound, its side effects can be dangerous, even deadly. First, let's start with a brief history about how benzene was discovered. Michael Faraday discovered benzene in 1825, but the structure of the molecule was undetermined. Chemist Auguste Kekule is said to have realized its true structure, although many current scientists are suggesting he stole the idea from someone else. Kekule claimed to have had a dream in which a long snake was biting its tail, forming a hexagon. This is how he is said to have realized the structure of benzene. The structure is currently known as the Kekule structure and often as 1,3,5-cyclohexatrine. This 1,3,5-cyclohexatrine is the model that we use today. When benzene gets into the water, it can have a negative effect on aquatic life. It can make them unable to have babies, have changed behavior, and alter appearance. When animals consume food or water contaminated with benzene, it can damage the blood, immune system, and cause cancer. Let's see if there's anywhere that I can find benzene in my own house. Oh look, it's Clorox. There's benzene in glue. Benzene is in a lot of synthetic fibers, like my shirt. Look, Luna. This has benzene in it. It's even in detergent. It's known as C6H6 because it has 6 carbon and 6 hydrogen. It is found in crude oil, gasoline, plastics, synthetic fibers, dyes, detergents, glues, and cleaning products. Although it has many uses, it's detrimental to humans and the environment. Immediate symptoms to benzene exposure include rapid heartbeat, dizziness, unconsciousness, headaches, death, vomiting, convulsions, and stomach irritation. If one is exposed to benzene on a long-term scale, symptoms could include decrease in red blood cells, cancer, specifically leukemia, and damage to bone marrow. Humans can be exposed to benzene through gasoline fumes, cigarette smoke, car exhaust, and factory air in an industry that uses or produces benzene. The severity of immediate symptoms depends on the amount. Exposure to massive concentrations of 64,000 micrograms or more can be fatal within 5 to 10 minutes. Because of the dangers of chemicals like benzene, industrial hygienists, such as Raquel Rickards, help protect workers in chemical-rich workplaces.
So an industrial hygienist is mainly concerned with recognizing, evaluating, and controlling hazards in the workplace. My job primarily focuses on recognizing potential exposures to employees based on the tasks they're completing.
Benzene exposure for a worker can be countered by eliminating contact at all, engineering downdraft ventilation, and by having employees wear personal protective equipment, more commonly known as PPE.
And as part of our program, we have a respiratory protection program. So if there is a potential for a worker to be exposed, then our employees wear respirators. And that's also a requirement under OSHA. But in this case, a worker would wear either half-face respirator, a full-face respirator, or an airline respirator, because they can all protect the worker from different amounts of hazard with an organic vapor cartridge. So hopefully our employees would not have to wear anything more than a half-face respirator, but sometimes in order to make an area safe for a worker, they'll have to add ventilation and things like that.
Although these workers are more susceptible to lethal benzene amounts at once, the average human is still in danger. Benzene can enter your body when you breathe in gasoline fumes, coal fumes, tobacco smoke, burning oil, and industrial discharge of products containing benzene. When exposed to high amounts in the air, roughly half the benzene goes to your bloodstream. Exposure through the air is the highest risk, but there can still be small amounts of benzene in drinking water and in food. This is because of leakage from underground gasoline storage tanks, landfills, and hazardous waste sites. If someone's well is contaminated, they can also be exposed through showering, bathing, or cooking with their well water. When benzene enters the bloodstream, it can be temporarily stored in bone marrow or liver. So workers at industries that make or use benzene are at a high risk, but they're protected. What can we as everyday humans do to protect ourselves from benzene exposure? Well, the best way is to limit contact to the two main sources, gasoline fumes and cigarette smoke, including secondhand.
So people could stop smoking. And then if industry can follow best management practices instead of cutting management practices for cost. Sometimes I see industries have a tendency sometimes forget about the health and safety of their workers. And at the same time, that has an effect on the environment. If we're trying to manage exposure to the lowest recommended limit, which in this case would probably be California's NIOSH recommendations, by that nature, the environment will probably have less exposure as well.
In conclusion, benzene has many everyday uses, but if too much of it enters your body, it can be very dangerous. The worst outcomes include cancer, death, and damage to bone marrow. People who work at major industries that make or use benzene are at the most risk. There are many procedures for safety that need to be done to benzene-infected areas. People like industrial hygienists work to make these jobs safer. Regular humans are at risk also, the greatest threat being benzene in the air. To protect against this, staying away from tobacco smoke and avoiding breathing in the fumes of gasoline when you fill up your car. So, Luna, you've learned a lot about benzene. You know that it has many benefits and uses, but also great risk. I believe that regulations are critical for workers' safety, and other people should take responsibility to minimize their own exposure. What do you think?